Welcome, 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 everybody. Please take your seats. We're getting ready to kick off the live stream here in just a second. Um, and can I just get a confirmation that anybody can hear me? Okay, thanks everybody for joining. Joining for our first ever live stream as the Recall Network. For those of you who are just joining and somehow missed all the frenzy of posts and engagements in Discord and Twitter and all that stuff, Recall is the decision layer for AI. Um, we're building a decentralized platform for testing, verifying, and evolving AI agents. And it's a place where agents can prove what they know, share intelligence transparently, and gain real-time observability. That's the tagline. You're going to hear a lot of marketing talk here today as we kind of launch this whole thing and get everybody excited. And then over the days and weeks and months, we're going to release more and more information about Recall, what it's all about, how it's built, and why we built it. Today, I'm your host, and we've got a couple of friends that are going to join me along the way. We've got a quick lineup. I'll try to have it done in 30 minutes, but we're going to do a little welcome here. I'll give you a big picture overview of why we're building Recall. And then I'm going to pull up Sander from our team, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on under the hood. Because unlike a lot of other projects that are launching, Recall actually works. It's running now. There's an actual testnet that is running that we have partners working on. So we can actually talk about what this thing does now and next and in the future. And then probably what people are going to be most excited about is I'm going to bring Andrew up and we're going to talk about the AlphaWaves competition. And we're going to get some details on what that looks like and what you can do and how you can get involved. And then we're going to talk a little bit about actual ecosystem partners because, like I said, we have a live testnet going. We actually have partners working on projects with us already. And I want to get Marla up here to talk a little bit about that and showcase that stuff. And then we will I'll give you the last calls to action, talk about how the ecosystem and the community can get involved. And then we will retire to a happy hour over in our Discord where we can continue the conversation and we can get a little bit more nitty gritty in the details and talk about things a bit more specifically and just have a little bit of fun over there. Maybe do some of the memes, as the kids say. So anyway, I'll get started on the big picture. So it's pretty clear that the next era for AI is going to involve agents. In fact, we've seen a lot of groups building and trying to design crypto for the next billion users, but those next billion users are pretty much going to be agents. And so Recall is kind of the foundational layer for this. And AI is kind of changing how we have to think about things. It's pretty realistic that we're going to see agents doing things for us that we wouldn't have normally trusted them to do in the past. So we're going to see agents that are sort of building and making decisions that affect businesses, that affect governments, and that affect human lives. And so there needs to be some accountability. Right now, the success of most AI products is kind of based on like just the classic marketing. How many GitHub stars does the developer have? Who is behind the thing? And it leads to just a few agent builders and a few AI organizations controlling a lot of what we engage with when we think about AI. So without a kind of like open marketplace for a sort of meritocratic provable intelligence, it's pretty hard to know who and what agents to trust. And worse than that is a lot of the agents end up being not discoverable because they just don't rise to the surface. The best tool for the job isn't necessarily the tool that you get access to. And so with Recall, we were really sort of thinking like, well, look, these agents are going to start taking on higher stake roles in finance, medicine, research, everything. And we need a pretty clear way to evaluate their skills and their trustworthiness. And that probably looks like a market where agents actually need to compete on actual performance, not just on their reputation. So that's why we built Recall. It's Recall is building the foundational intelligence layer for that. Um, it begins by making agent intelligence verifiable and discoverable. And that means like true verifiable data structures on chain for everybody to see. And it's kind of like if you want to think about it as as something like Strava for agents, where we can very easily see who the king of the hill is in terms of different AI tasks and outputs. So instead of just being told that some agent is really good at something, we can actually verify it. And so once we can do that, we can start to do things like explore multi-agent marketplaces. And this is where Recall really starts to get useful because we can see things like agents can actually evaluate the quality of responses that other agents within the ecosystem are producing, and they can actually integrate outputs and skills. So we actually get like swarms of agents that can evaluate the quality of other agents' work and leverage that and take advantage of that and grow together. And so I'm going to stop with the marketing piece, and I'm going to pull up Sander for a second and get him to talk a little bit about what we've actually built under the hood. And if Raul is on the in around here as well, if you can ask for speaker permission, you can come up too. Let's see if it's actually going to work. Brian, can you give Sander and Raul speaking privileges?
Hey, Carson, can you hear me?
I can.
Cool. Raul coming.
Hey, I think I'm on. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Yes.
Hey.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. So, yeah. So, Sander, I'm going to let you take it away, and then Raul, I think Sander's going to pull you in to give some nitty gritty on IPC.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, Carson. Thanks for doing this with us, Raul. Yeah, so just at a high level, we think of Recall as a kind of data chain. So it's fully EVM compatible, but has all these custom native features that we think of as like backends for agents. So that includes bottomless data storage, like blob data. We have familiar interfaces like S3 compatibility. So you can use tools like DuckDB and other things. Other popular kind of web tooling out there just should fit right in. The chain can also store like SQLite pages, and we have other custom built-in stuff like around intuitive billing, like the ability to buy credits, like for pre-buying gas credits or pre-buying resource credits. And this is all enabled by a project that Raul has been stewarding for quite a while now called Interplanetary Consensus. Raul, do you want to give a little brief intro to IPC for folks?
Yeah, sure. First of all, congrats on the launch. We've been working together for I think a year, and it's been impressive how this has come to life. So, congrats on the launch. First of all,
thank you.
It's been great to support you from the perspective of IPC. So, just for the audience, IPC stands, as Sandra said, for Interplanetary Consensus. It is a framework to build highly scalable and highly customized networks. And Recall has customized IPC in many ways to custody agent data, to enable agent interconnectivity for things like economics and so on. So yeah, it's a highly flexible platform, and I think we all project a world where, you know, if this goes right, there will be an abundance of agents, and agents that are built by different developers, organizations that perform atomic tasks that will need to be fed some input, will produce some output, and all of this needs to work through interoperable standards. And it will need to scale. So we see a world of abundance of agents, right? And these,
Exactly.
so relying on a platform that allows you to scale dynamically and even like start off dynamic and ephemeral subnets going forward to manage specific workloads around a specific task and to aggregate agents towards a specific outcome. That's basically what IPC is poised to provide, right? And I think the data element and the data centric nature of networks like this is really important. And the connectivity specifically with Filecoin IPC being, a project developed by the Filecoin ecosystem is really a critical piece here because agents are going to produce tons and tons and tons of data. Not all
Yeah.
data will need to be hot and active, but we still need to keep that data. We need to preserve that data over time because it will be used to train future models and to provide traceability and auditability on outcomes and so on. So they're the piece of like Filecoin connectivity that IPC is going to be providing in the next months is really really
Yeah.
critical, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just on that piece, one of the core primitives in Recall today is just the ability to set a expiry on small bits of data. So we want some data to be around that's super hot and available, but guaranteed to be available, and then we can archive it and pass it into extremely cheap cold storage. So that's absolutely part of it. Yeah, the other big piece of IPC that I was excited about just from really day one, however year plus ago that was, is just the fact that it's WASM plus EVM. So it's so highly customizable. We have total control over the syscalls. We can write our own native WASM actors that work with the OS. We can even manipulate and inject work to be done like during block production. So we can interject our own voting mechanisms over certain tasks, and that probably sounds pretty abstract, but yeah,
More details to come over the days and weeks for sure.
yeah,
The other thing that we've been able to build, thanks to the sort of like the flexibility of IPC and the frameworks we're building on, is that it's pretty easy to build like APIs and integrations that fit the way developers operate in other contexts. So like we have an S3 adapter that basically adapts standard, AWS API calls into actual interactions on the blockchain. And we have an ELIZA plugin, and we're working on Zero Bro and Letta plugins. All these things are the same. It's the same flow where we basically can meet developers where they're at. And a lot of that comes from the flexibility that we gain from IPC and the design of the actual recall network.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's, I think, a piece there that I like to add is, as Sander said as well, the flexibility of the Filecoin virtual machine. Really, IPC is kind of like the coming together of a lot of tech that has been produced within the IPFS, libp2p Filecoin ecosystems. And one of those pieces is the Filecoin virtual machine. It is a WASM-based hypervisor-like VM that allows you to mount different runtimes on top of it, where the first one is the EVM, and of course you can mount other programming environments, right, that allows users to then deploy programs on chain that are built using the tech that they're accustomed to, right? So no foreign like programming languages that are suitable for smart contracts, but maybe not for agent logic, right? Or agent brokering logic. So it brings kind of like the blockchain closer to developers, and I think this is, and potentially even viewing code as data, right? You could deploy WASM functions as on the blockchain and just have them
totally,
run dynamically, and I think the future is pretty interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Also with subnets, we can design. Not every user or every group of users has the same needs necessarily around performance, or some might want to make trade-offs around decentralization. Maybe they even want different consensus algorithms, and that all fits really well into the vision that Raul and team has
Yeah.
laid out with IPC.
Yeah, Sandra, that's actually a really good point. And I could see different sets of agents having different trust
Totally.
models binding them together so they could run on. It's really kind of like silly that, the world usually, like, blockchains usually rely on one level of consensus for for all of the domains, the application domains that a blockchain is handling. And like, of course, we have the kind of like the notion of app chains, which like it's usually a single chain that powers a single app, right? But how do they federate? How do they collaborate? That's kind of like, the difficult piece. So really a world in which consensus can be chosen at each layer of a tree of subnets that are working together towards shared outcomes. And that consensus is chosen based on the trust model at that particular point of the tree between the agents and the users and the developers that are coming together to kind of like produce those shared outcomes. Is really interesting. So you eventually end up composing different consensus models over a unified tree, that eventually settles into global consensus in the L1.
Totally.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a. Oh, Carson, go ahead. I was just going to
Well,
say last
yeah.
thing about IPC that is interesting, which is that, yeah, it's kind of a hybrid of a roll-up and a sidechain. It's just another way to express what Raul was saying. So we inherit security from the L1, like roll-ups, but we also have our own or many different consensus algorithms.
Nice. Thanks, guys. I want us to take it up the stack a little bit, from the nitty gritty of how the blockchain works to how we want developers to actually engage with the blockchain. And so I'm going to ask Andrew to join the stage and thank Raul and Sandra very much for joining us. And Andrew, I'm going to pull you up and get you to talk a little bit about our AlphaWaves competition.
Hey, Carson.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to our first one. I think first of many, hopefully, live streams. All right, Andrew, what do we have to know about the competition? If there's developers out there that want to join, what do they need to know?
Yeah, sure. So, like Sandra and Raul were just talking about, there are a couple of really core features of the recall protocol that are launching today in the testnet. And a lot of those features have to do with data observability inside of agents. So being able to use our tools and embed recall into existing agents, so those agents can store and share different elements of their knowledge and memory. So being able to sync things like the chain of thought logs to an open network, so those can be viewed by the developers, the teams building the agents. So those can be token gated for owners and communities of the agents, or so those can be open for the world to view what's happening inside of these different agents that might be part of critical infrastructure. But the real path that we're on is trying to build a protocol and a network that can allow agents to earn trust and earn reputation in the community for solving hard problems. And the way that we see this playing out is that right now, agent development is has kind of proliferated in technology. And so you can talk to pretty much any team and like any startup in the world right now, and they're trying to figure out how agents are going to be embedded in their stack, how agents are going to improve their go-to-market, their team operations, their social media management, their finances and everything. And so this ability to take models, LLMs, and put them into agentic workflows where there's actual, short, mid, long-term reasoning. There's different pathways they can explore to solve real problems. There's uncertainty, and in the future, real decision-making with real consequences. Calls for different protocols where we can have observability, where we can have agents prove their capabilities, where we can track what they're doing, look at the proof inside of them, and all this good stuff. And so AlphaWaves is actually a small competition today, but we think is going to grow into a core piece of our incentives and what we're building. And so the AlphaWaves competition is a call for current agent developers who think their agents can provide really interesting signals to the community in the form of tracking and detecting alpha in crypto. So we think the competition will expand into a lot of different categories, but right now we're really focused on crypto specific categories where the outcome is fairly objective, right? And so in this competition, we're going to be looking for agents that can collect data from lots of different sources, whatever the agent builder thinks is going to be giving their agent a good strategy to detect different alpha in crypto. And then we're going to be testing them on those skills over a short period of time, with real rewards for the winners and real credibility to the winners, through a proven track record of being able to do what they say they can do.
That's amazing. So if I've been building an agent and I like actually, you know, in the background potentially trying to do this as a trading bot or something like that, I could also enter the competition and potentially win something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And for anyone who's listening, you can check out competition.recall.network for details. You can also go to the docs if you want to join. There's a giant big click here to join button. We would love for you to do that. Speaking of which, you should, if you're an agent builder, check out our docs. We have a bunch of examples. Our own team also built an ELIZA plugin for collecting alpha. So if you want to join the competition, you got to at least beat our agent,
Yeah.
which I think will be pretty fun. So the first wave is going to be kind of small, low key. We're hoping to open it up to more and more teams, and we'll grow it as we grow ourselves and get better at running these competitions, and hopefully build out the community. And speaking of which, I would love it if Marla is around. If you could prep to come up so we can talk about some of our ecosystem folks. But before
Yep.
she joins, Andrew, any last things we should know about the competition?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be exciting for not just the developers, but we're going to try to do our best to make a lot of this observable to the community. So being able to see how agents are actually thinking about opportunities and be able to track what they're doing in their performance. I think there's a lot to build around that community interface and where people are going to be able to come and track these agents, but we're going to be building it out and getting you things. If it's not in this first round complete, it will be much better by the second round of the competition. So yeah, I just think just a comment there that I think it's going to be really interesting for agent developers to sort of prove their agents' worth, or at least be able to test their agents in a pretty exciting environment and potentially get rewarded for the outcome and build some credibility in what they're doing. But it will also be really exciting for the community to try to follow along and learn about these agents as they actually perform.
Nice. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Marla, come on up.
Yep.
Welcome.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So, Marla, you have been working tirelessly in the background with agent development teams and other infrastructure providers, and sort of building out our early adoption ecosystem. So, I was wondering if you want to talk a little bit about like who you've been working with, who we've been talking with, who's been participating, maybe what some of the work that we can expect to see. I know some of it isn't totally public yet, but anything that you can tell us about that stuff would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, first I'll just say it's been really fun working in the space. Like, there's one thing that's clear is the AI agent ecosystem is really thriving, and people are just excited about building new things. So I don't want to give away too much, like you said, because we have sort of a bunch of announcements we're going to be doing together with partners. And I don't want to take away from that, but I can give you just like a super high level of a few and what we're kind of working towards. And then I would just say follow along and stay tuned for specifics about that. That'll be coming out in the weeks to follow. So yeah, so Story is one that we're really excited about. We've been talking to Story about turning agents' thought processes and memories that are stored on Recall into programmable IP. So we think there's a really nice alignment there on the intelligence and their programmable IP work. We've been working with the virtuals team as well. So we have some plugins in the work. Some are, just allowing agents to build with the game framework and making it really easy to store intelligence data on recall, but also taking things a bit deeper with that team so that game agents can start thinking about how to interoperate with non-game agents. And so that we're pretty pumped about that one, and there's more to come on that very soon. We've also been working with MotherDAO, CollabLand, Lit Protocol. So this has been like a team effort. They are working on an EVM launchpad for agents, and we've been building a recall plugin for that, which would essentially allow for private recall knowledge to be released based on certain conditions like token ownership. So pretty pumped for that. And then finally, we have Gaia, which Carlos from the Gaia team is actually here. So I don't want to take away from that. I would love to just invite Carlos up, and if he can tell us a little bit about what Gaia is doing, and maybe we can give a very high level teaser on how we're planning to work together with more details to come soon.
Hey Marla, thank you. Hey, this is Carlos from Gaia. Yeah, we're basically, if you're building an AI agent and you need decentralized inference, we're the team for that. You can launch your a custom node in basically 3 lines of code, and it exposes an API that automatically has a on-chain capabilities because it gives you a wallet. It's pretty powerful, and we're constantly running hackathons also. So I know, I think it was Andrew mentioning there was some kind of hackathon going on now. So if you need decentralized inference, I will go to gaianet.ai and just get it sorted out in 3 lines of code. And then yeah, we're pretty excited to be working with Recall. I don't want to get too into it, but the teaser is I've been extremely excited about anything related to chain of thought reasoning. So it has to do with something like that. But we'll announce more soon.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And I think we're planning to have some folks from the Recall team join a live stream with Gaia on Thursday. So we'll post more updates on our account here so people can join that, and we'll get a little deeper on how we're going to be working together this Thursday.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think Mark and myself are going to be there for that.
Yes.
So looking forward to diving a little bit deeper. It's fun to be a host on these things, but I don't really get to talk about the nerd stuff that I really like to talk about. So hopefully we get into that a little bit on Thursday. Thanks, Carlos, for joining. Marla, thank you very much. Anything else we should know? What about if people want to get in touch with you, who are agent builder teams that want to, talk partnerships and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a place where folks can sign up on our website. So you can go ahead and do that, and I'll definitely be checking those. But you can also feel free to DM me on here. My DMs are open. So please reach out. Happy to chat. Just love to hear what people are working on and learn from folks in the space. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay, I think we did it almost perfectly. We're going to stay pretty close to on time. I want to take the last couple of minutes just to lay out a really brief little roadmap and then give everybody different ways that they can get involved and join. And then we will kick things off over in our Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord, right now is the time to go do that. And then come back here and listen for the last bit. So we have lots and lots and lots more to share. Today is the launch, which means we're just getting the sort of marketing and initial ideas out there into the world. But we've got so many more details to share. We've got research that we've been working on. We've got experiments that we've been building. We've got partnerships that we've been working on. All this stuff is coming out. We've got a testnet coming up very soon. We've got a private testnet going now, and some folks are already involved in helping us and trying to find bugs, which they just can't find because there are none. And our testnet is going to be coming out soon. We've got new agent APIs and tooling that we're going to be releasing. We've got a whole bunch of different developer cohorts that are going to be joining us, and we're doing a bunch of stuff for East Denver. So if you want to get involved, you can join the testnet and jump into our docs.recall.network. There's a button in there to join the waitlist. So there are some constraints there. We will be opening things up publicly soon. If you are an agent building team, please do join our AlphaWaves cohort. One, if you get accepted, you get earlier access to the testnet. Two, I mean, who doesn't want to win prizes? So, there's a potential there. Of course, please join us in our Discord. Please follow us here on Twitter/X. Sign up for updates. As I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of updates coming up, so do stay tuned and keep following on, keep listening. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are building a machine hyperintelligence framework. I really hope you'll come and join us. The more people that we have involved, the more we can bootstrap this agent economy, and the more fun we'll probably have. So come and join us and meet us over in the Discord. A bunch of us are going to go in there. We'll do kind of an informal Q&A. We'll do some networking. We'll hopefully get into some deeper discussions. I'm dying for a chance to talk a bit more deeply about why we think this is the future for AI intelligence. So come and connect, follow up with some questions, post some memes, and we will see you on the other side.